Hello Magic fans, welcome back to the show. Hopefully you caught last week's episode where I gave reasons for selling your collection and why now is the best time to be doing it. This week we're going to cover how to sell your collection and where to put that money once you've sold it. I'm Matt Virgin and this is your MTG Minute. Thank you for joining me. First off, this week I would like to announce the winner of the giveaway for the sleeves and deck box pictured behind me. The winner this week is Joe F. So thank you for sharing the video. I will reach out to you over Twitter and have you pick one of the deck boxes and sleeves behind me, and we'll get that sent out to you. If you would like to enter next week's contest, just go ahead and share this video on any form of social media, send me a screenshot to my Twitter at MTGmin, and you'll be entered into the drawing for next week's giveaway. Now let's get into this week's topic. First off, we're going to cover where to sell your cards. Now each of these has various positives and negatives, and there is a trade-off between the time and convenience versus the money that you're going to receive for the cards. I'm briefly going to cover these so we can spend a little more time on what to do with the money from your collection once you've sold it, but if it is something you're interested in, how to use the various platforms to sell, let me know in the comments and I can cover that in a future episode. The most hassle-free way to sell your collection is via eBay, Facebook, or something like Craigslist or a similar platform that will allow you to sell the whole collection at once. However, like I mentioned, you do sacrifice a little bit of value in return for the ability to move the whole collection at once. Another option is to buy list your cards to Card Kingdom, Channel Fireball, Star City Games, or any of the various stores that run a buy list. With this method, it's also generally cost prohibitive to be shipping your bulk to them, so you are left with a sizable amount of your collection left over that you need to do something else with. And lastly, you can sell your cards over something like TCG Player, sell your singles on eBay, or list them or on Facebook or Twitter. However, with this method, it is quite time consuming, although you will be maximizing profits. And again, you're generally left over with most of your bulk that is unable to be sold because of the prohibitive cost of shipping those items. If this is the route you choose though, I would suggest you check out my other video on how to ship cards cheaply and safely to get them to your buyer. I'll post that link in the show notes so you can check that out. Now, let's shift gears into what to do with the money from your collection once you've sold it. I do want to point out first that you should follow sound financial advice, and if you don't already have it, an emergency fund and paying down your debts is probably one of the best things that you can do with the extra money. However, if you do choose to keep your money in the hobby and reinvest it into Magic cards, this is what I recommend. In normal times, I would say take that money and use it to finance your play over the next 6 months to even a couple of years, depending how big your collection was. But because of COVID, these are not normal times, and like we all know, in-store play is quite a rarity at this point. So we're going to take a look at some cards that you can put your money into. I'm going to focus on the reserved list here because it allows us to avoid the reprint issues covered in the last episode. Let's head over to MTG Stocks, where they have a section called Handy Lists that has all of the reserved list cards along with relevant pricing data. We'll want to focus on cards that carry a decent price already because there are plenty of unplayable cards on the list that we do not want to invest into. Another caveat to the reserved list is that while the cards can't be reprinted, they can be outclassed by newer cards with similar effects, such as is the case between Lotus Veil and Lotus Field. So we want to be looking at cards powerful enough that Wizards is unlikely to print anything similar going forward. The obvious answer here is the Power 9, but these are a heavy investment with the cheapest version starting around $2,000, and when you do want to take your money out of the investment, they can be fairly tough to sell. In a similar vein, we can look at something like Time Vault, which has shown slow and steady growth over the past few years. This is something tied to the health of the game, similar to the Power 9, but at a slightly lower price level. Let's see what else we can dig into. Dual lands are another obvious target here, seeing play in Vintage, Legacy, and Commander. Not all duels are the same though, so let's take a look at a couple. Here we can see Underground Sea, which popped up to around $900 in June of 2018 and currently sits around $500. Will it get back up to $900? I don't know, but I wouldn't mind holding this at $500 because as you can see, because of the price graph, it's unlikely to fall much farther. Contrast this to something like Scrubland that just saw a big jump recently. This is the kind of thing that I would stay away from because it still has a lot of room to fall yet from this recent spike. And this is really what we want to look for when deciding where to place our money. These graphs can tell us a lot about where a card is in its price cycle. Take a card like Fast Bond that has a unique effect and has seen 2 price spikes previously. It's currently at what looks like a bottom on the graph, and we should see slow, steady growth or possibly another spike in the future. These price graphs can provide a ton of valuable information on what cards to buy. And while I don't recommend speculation because of the time investment involved with that kind of activity, if you have extra money from selling your collection on singles, these can point you in a good direction. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of the MTG Minute. I hope you gained some valuable information on investing in cards for the long term. If you like the show, please like and subscribe, and I will see you back here next week at the MTG Minute.